Alright, so in this video we will learn about the RGB colors in CSS. So let's get started. So what does this RGB stands for? RGB stands for the red, green and blue. And basically whenever you are looking at a color, it can be constructed from a specific amount of red, green and blue. But one thing you have to consider here is that this is not like the mixing up some color palette or mixing up some like liquid color which we do to paint something, right? This is not like that. This is basically mixing up the light. You can think about that. So in that way, we can have the red, green and blue values for each of the colors, and we can construct many colors. And more precisely, we can construct a little bit more over 16.7 million colors. Alright, so how to do that? Until now, what we were doing, we were just using the named colors, right? Like purple, cornflower blue, and so on and so forth. And what I have inside of my HTML basically here, this is I have a heading, one paragraph, and that is it, and just connected the style sheet here. Okay, so now for example, for this one, so let's go to the browser at first and see how that looks, and then we can continue. So this is how it looks currently right now. So this is the H1, which is purple, and this is the blue color, which I really like. All right, so go to the code editor here, and what we can do RGB and open the parenthesis, and here is the syntax, which is this one. Basically we have to open the parenthesis, and then the first value which we will enter here will be the red, second value for the green, and the third value for the blue. All right, so to get red here, right, what we can do something like this. And before thinking about this, so each of the values, like the value of red, the value of green, the value of blue, can go from 0 to 255. Okay, so this is something you have to consider here. So if we want to have only red, what we have to do, basically we have to do 255 comma, and then we can add a space here, 0 comma 0. And our color highlight plugin is very helpful to view our colors. Okay, so if I just save and go to the browser, as you can see, our H1 is now red. Let's try to make it blue. How we can do that? We can do by adding it to 0, and see what happened is that when we have inside of RGB 000, that means there is no color, which means this is the black color. Okay, so let's go to the blue value and do 255, and once again we have this preview. Save and go to the browser, and here is our blue H1. Awesome. So let's go here, and let's, for the final time, make it green. So let's do something like this and do 255, and this is the green. So save and go to the browser, and now it is green. Okay, so this is basically the RGB color. And now you might be thinking, okay, we have seen the black, so how we can get the white? To get the white, what we need to do, basically we have to provide all of the R, G and B values to the fullest. So 255 and then 255, and now we will get white. And if you have learned about the light color theory, this will be very similar to that. Basically this is the same thing. Now to see that, because our like the background is white, so we will not be able to see the H1. So let's do a background background color and do something like RGB, and here do something like black, right? So 0 comma 0 comma 0, and just save, and Prettier will do its job. All right, so go to the browser, and here our h1 is white and the background color of the h1 is black. Now you might be thinking, okay, we can construct a bunch of colors. So how we're gonna remember all of the colors? And you don't, basically. You do not have to remember any color or any number for the RGB format. What you have to do basically to use a color picker. And in VS Code, we have a color picker, right? Which is this one. And if I just hover over to this particular box, right? So this is the color picker. And now if I go here, okay, something like this one I like. So just do that and just click outside, and the R, G, and B values will be changed. And if I just save and go to the browser, and now we have this nice red color as the background. So basically what you have to learn from this video is that the syntax, which is basically to have R, G, and B, and what these values represent, right? This is basically the gist of this video. And whenever you want to have some sort of color, you can use a color picker. You can just search on Google like color picker. So you can get one. Inside of VS Code, you have one color picker, right? So you can pick your favorite color, and then you can just copy paste the values of the R, G, and B inside of this parenthesis and inside of this particular syntax. And in that way, you can use the particular color which you like inside of your website. All right, next up, hex colors.